Welcome, everybody, to Metropolitan Council meeting this Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. We're going to call the meeting to order. Ashley, do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
We're going to have the invocation and pledge by Pastor Will Campbell, Serenity Praise and Worship Tabernacle Church. Pastor? Thank you, Pastor. Number one, approval and adoption of the minutes of the Metropolitan Council meeting of April 9th, 2025, and the Metropolitan Council zoning meeting of April 16th, 2025 by Council Administrator Treasurer. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilman Moak. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ashley, can you read the introductions?
Section 2.12, Introductions. Number 2, authorizing settlement of the matter entitled Clifford Ford, Chantel Griffin, Keandra Ford, Brittany Franklin, and Jalea Thompson individually and on behalf of her minor son, Amir Collins, versus Keith Wilson and the city parish, in the amount of $250,900 plus court costs in the amount of $1,192.53 for a total amount of $252,092.53 and appropriating that sum for such purpose by the parish attorney. Number 3, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to add Chapter 25 to Title 9, Licensing and Regulations of Trades and Occupations, to establish the Local Healthcare Provider Participation Program in East Baton Rouge Parish in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 40:1248.1 through 1248.10 by Councilwoman Laurie Adams and Councilman Brandon Knoll. Number 4, authorizing the Mayor President to execute a settlement and release agreement with Triumph Construction, LLC, related to the Elm Grove Garden Pedestrian Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $443,776.51 by transportation to Drainage Director. Condemnation introductions. Annie Hawkins, 8607 Scenic Highway, District 2, Kenny. Number 6, the estate of James Smith and the estate of Lillian Bowman Smith, 2565 J Street, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 7, Ronald Johnson Investments, LLC, 1079 Osprey Avenue, and 1072 Townsley Street, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 8, Carrie L. Ford and Pamela B. Ford, 6085 Smiley Street, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 9, the estate of Joyce Elaine Carter Huff, 2842 Iberia Street, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 10, the estate of Paul Mills and the estate of Alma Mills, 6390 Hanks Drive, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 11, Pharaoh Johnson III, 5758 St. Jared Avenue, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 12, Go Big 3 LLC, 4316 Cannon Street, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 13, Alizo Richard and Betty Green Richard, 1022 North 48th Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 14, Margaret McLean, 3904 Monroe Avenue, Council District 7, Harris. Number 15, Baton Rouge Greater First Apostolic Church, 3674 Clayton Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 16, Prudent Acquisitions, LLC, 3250 Elm Drive, Council District 7, Harris. Number 17, the estate of Clarence Martin and the estate of Martha Martin, 1567 North 48th Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 18, Maddie D. Williams, 1246 South 14th Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 19, Georgia Bernandez, 2671 Winona Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 20, Teresa Ann Robin et al., 2732 Lupine Avenue, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 21, Juan Rico Vargas and Sarah Naomi Espana Ardon, 1340 Eddie Robinson Senior Drive, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 22, Juan B. Wynn and Billy Bowie Hill, 690 Lori Burgess Avenue, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 23, Jerhaine Draper, 1021 North 30th Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Adjudicated property introductions. Number 24, Lot 11, Square 51, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Harris. Number 25, Lot 30, Square 21, Subdivision Fortune, Council District 5, Hurst. Number 26, Lot 66, Square 1, Subdivision Richmond Park, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 27, Lot 19 plus Square 39, Subdivision Banks, Council District 10, Kenny. Number 28, Lot 21, 22, 23, and 24, Square 39, Subdivision Banks, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 29, Lot 16, Square 30, Subdivision East Garden City, Council District 5, Hurst. Number 30, Lot 18, Square 20, Subdivision East Garden City, Council District 5, Hurst. Number 31, Lot 31 and 32, Square 4, Subdivision Scotland Heights, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 32, Lot 27, Square 1, Subdivision Lavara, Council District 7, Harris. Number 33, Lot 23, Square 9, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Harris. Number 34, Lot 11, Square 38, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Harris. Number 35, Lot 5, Square 11, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. All items that require reading have been read, and a motion to introduce all items is in order.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Kenny. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go to our separate condemnation sheet. Do we have any? Recommendations are to proceed with item 48, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 59, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, and 69. 30 days on item 49, 50, 52, 58, 60, and delete item 51. Is anyone here wishing to speak on any of these items? Seeing none, we're going to go to council. I do have, let's see, District 7 recommendations, 30 days on 59 and 61. 90 days on item 63, and to delete item 57. Anyone else have any recommendations?
Yes, I have 30 days on number 48. I have on 65 and 66, I have 90 days. On
Well, I'm sorry, can you give me those again?
65 and 66.
Got it.
All right, and on 68, 60 days, and 69, 60 days.
All right, anybody else? Okay, I'm gonna read them back. We have to proceed with items 53, 54, 55, 56, 62, 64, 67, 30 days on item 48, 49, 50, 52, 58, 59, 60, and 61, 60 days on items 68 and 69, 90 days on items 63, 65, and 66, and to delete items 51 and 57. Do we have a motion in that regard? Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 70, canceling and rescheduling certain Metropolitan Council meetings and calling for a special meeting in 2025, canceling the July 9th, 2025 Metropolitan Council meeting, rescheduling the November 26th, 2025 Metropolitan Council meeting to Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, and rescheduling the December 17th, 2025 Metropolitan Council zoning meeting to December 3rd, 2025, canceling the December 24th, 2025 Metropolitan Council meeting and calling for a special Metropolitan Council meeting on December 9th, 2025 for the purpose of considering the 2026 City Parish Annual Operating Budget and Capital Budget and items related to the 2026 budget by the Council Administrative Treasurer. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 71, authorizing Mayor President to execute an agreement with ABG Contractors, Inc. for demolition and abatement services, package A4, in an amount not to exceed $85,000 by the Development Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 72, authorization for the Mayor President and/or Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute a lease agreement with Hendricks Construction to lease a 1.46 acre tract of land located on Harding Boulevard for a period of 1 year with two one-year options to renew at a rental rate of $20,987.20 per year or $1,748.93 per month by the Aviation Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilman Kennedy. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 73, authorization for the Mayor President and/or Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute a supplemental agreement number 1 with Stanley Consultants, Inc. for EMAS removal and blast pad design services in an amount not to exceed $138,209.41 by the Aviation Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, go to council. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Kennedy. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 74, authorization for the Mayor President and/or Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute supplemental agreement number 3 with Elos Environmental LLC for closing out sites with LDEQ in an amount not to exceed $230,000 by the Aviation Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 75, authorization for the Mayor President and/or Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute amendment number 3 to the EBR Parish Sheriff's Office lease agreement to add 352 square feet of office space to their existing lease at the airport annex facility at a rental rate of $5,632 per year, with all other terms and conditions of the original lease remaining the same by the Aviation Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 76, authorization for the Mayor President and/or Chairman of the Airport Commission to execute a professional services contract with Intervisas Consulting USA LLC to provide air service development consulting services for the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport in an amount not to exceed $60,000 by the Aviation Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilman Kennedy. Any opposed? Motion carries. 77, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Carol Roulet and Brenda Bach versus Energy Services et al. In an amount of $35,000 plus court costs in an amount of $260 for a total amount of $35,260 by the parish attorney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? We have one opposition. Councilwoman Amorosa. Anybody else? Motion carries. Item 78, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Tricia Reams versus City of Baton Rouge et al. In an amount of $15,000 plus court costs in an amount of $186.63 for a total amount $15,186.63 by the parish attorney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Gode. We have a second? Second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 79, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Cynthia Butler versus Baton Rouge Police Department et al. In an amount of $20,000 plus court costs and an amount of $445.72 for a total amount of $20,445.72 by the parish attorney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 80, rescinding and directing clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded August 10th, 2023, and the decision and order recorded on October 30th, 2023, in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus the Estate of Henry C. Grayson Jr. and the Estate of Doris O. Williams Grayson, 12648 Molly Lee Drive. Reason for rescission: constituents satisfied the requirements for the property to be placed back into commerce by Councilman Moak. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Moak, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. 81, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded on February 7th, 2025, and the decision and order recorded on March 14th, 2025, in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Gervia Ferguson, 1735 74th Avenue. Reason for rescission: owner is making repairs to the property, by Councilman Kinney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Kinney. We have a second. Second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 82, rescinding and directing clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded on February 7th, 2025, and the decision and order recorded on March 14th, 2025, in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Timothy Paul McCoy, 4018 Chippewa Street. Reason for rescission: miscommunication regarding deferring this item, condemning it at the March 12, 2025 Metropolitan Council meeting by Councilwoman Harris. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilman Kinney. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 83, awarding contract for disaster debris management and monitoring services to the selected vendor, Thompson Consulting Services, LLC, and directing the execution of the contract covering such work by Environmental Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 84, authorize Mayor President and/or Brasco to execute a contract for engineering services with Infinity Engineering Consultants, LLC, associated with the WWTP grading and railing replacements in an amount not to exceed $90,000 by Environmental Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 85, authorize Mayor President and/or Brasco to execute a contract for engineering services with Sustainable Design Solutions, LLC, associated with Pump Station 156 upgrades in an amount not to exceed $65,000 by Environmental Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 86, authorizing Mayor President to execute a professional services contract with Louisiana Dental Plan in an amount not to exceed $1 per employee per month for a dental discount membership plan for the city parish benefits effective June 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025, with the option of 3 one-year extensions. Louisiana Dental Plan will provide a dental discount card. The plan will not replace traditional dental insurance provided by the city parish, by the Mayor President and Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. Councilman Dunn Jr.
Lon or someone from the administration, can you come up and speak to this item? And specifically, I know we talked about it, but just for the public, could you explain the change that's going to be made, and particularly for the employees that this change is going to impact?
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for calling me up. So what this will do is this offers an opportunity for employees who are not currently enrolled in the city parish provided dental program to enroll at a discount plan for the city parish will pay $1 per employee per month in this dental plan, which will allow them to see an in-service provider that's listed in the program to receive dental services at a discounted rate than what they would do if they came in off the street without any kind of coverage.
And just to be clear, you believe and the administration believes that this will be a cost saving to the parish as well as the payee being an employee, right?
Correct. So potentially it could be. So once we would go to next year for open enrollment, any current dental insurance provided employees could then transfer over to this plan. And that would be approximately a savings of between $16 and $32 per employee per pay period. So if they do decide to switch over, it would save them money and also save the city parish money. And then just as savings cost potential on this, I personally went through some dental services recently, and I was able to take what I paid with my dental insurance and compared it to this. If I'd have went to an in-network provider, it would have actually saved me money off of what I paid on my current dental insurance with the city parish government.
All right, thank you. Appreciate your work on this.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 87, authorizing Mayor President to execute a contract for engineering services for the Maryland Drive sidewalks, Goodwood Boulevard to Florida Boulevard with Pivotal Engineering LLC in an amount not to exceed $256,561.68 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 87.
Seeing no one, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 88, authorizing Mayor President to execute supplemental agreement number 3 in an amount of $388,000 to a contract with Mel Inc. for additional construction inspection services associated with the Move BR enhancement project, traffic signal connection, and communications installation, bringing the total amount of the contract to an amount not to exceed $1,405,000 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 89, there's a request to delete this item. Authorization of the Mayor President to execute an agreement between the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge on behalf of the Office of Community Development and National Network for Safe Communities for an amount not to exceed $396,000 by the Community Development Director. Again, there's a request by OCD to delete this item. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. Entertain a motion to delete. Motion by Councilman Moak, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 90, authorizing Mayor President to enter into an intergovernmental agreement on behalf of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge with St. George Transition District and the City of St. George to provide for uninterrupted governmental services to the citizens of the Parish of East Baton Rouge residing within St. George city limits during the formation of new government for St. George, and to authorize the Mayor President to enter into amendments to reduce or continue services and the payments received as the transition to fully functioning City of St. George takes place, and adjust the budget accordingly by the Office of the Mayor President. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in support of item 90.
Please, Mayor. Mayor, we know who you are, but state your name for the record, please.
Dustin Yates, City of St. George. Thank you for council for having me here this evening. To me, this isn't just about an agreement. It's about building a relationship moving forward. St. George, although we're a new city, we're not in a new parish. We want to be a great partner in East Baton Rouge Parish. We want to be equitable. We want to be fair. We want to do all the things that other great partners have. You now have 5 cities within East Baton Rouge Parish, and I believe that all 5 of them are vitally important to the overall success of East Baton Rouge Parish. So I've had an opportunity to speak, I believe, with every council person here at some point in time over the last week or two. I've shared with them my position. I've given them my comments. I've taken their feedback as well. So at the appropriate time, I'll take any questions that you might have maybe after the public comment period, I'm presuming. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Charlie?
Thanks, Council. I just wanted to thank everybody for their hard work and reiterate that this is just the first step. I think the first of many steps, many agreements between the city of Baton Rouge and the city parish and the city of St. George. So this is not the end. This is really the beginning of a number of agreements and decisions that have to be made that really put us in a much better situation for everybody to thrive, not just the citizens of the city, but the citizens of the parish as well. So thank you all very much, and we appreciate all the hard work that the staff has put into everything that has to happen when it comes to transferring services on tax revenue. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Charlie. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Councilman Dunn Jr.
With this item, I think this item is incomplete. When we introduced this item at the last meeting, I objected to it because I think it's incomplete. I think it is vitally important for us to have an agreement. There are several things that this draft does not include. This draft does not identify an incorporation date. This draft does not release the city parish from liability from 2019, as was discussed and talked about or proposed. This draft, or this item specifically, does not have two components in it: the sewer collection fee and the tax collection fee, sewer collection agreement and a tax collection agreement, which I think are key components to the item. It was my goal to come here to offer an amendment to include language in this agreement that was proposed and discussed to release the parish from liability. It was my goal to offer an amendment to include the sewer collection fee and also include the tax collection fee. As you can see on this agenda, none of that is in one item like was proposed and discussed. We have two items, and yet we have two things that are left off. The sewer collection fee is not even introduced as an item, so I can't make an amendment to include that because it hadn't been properly noticed. But I think that needs to be a part of this. I would prefer that we don't follow it up and do it step by step, because there are too many steps in this process. There are other steps that need to be made. These are things that were talked about. These are things that were discussed, and I would have liked to see all this taken together. It could have been taken together. It was discussed to be taken together, but the administration, somebody chose to submit it in this way. This is not how it was presented to us. It was presented to us that the waiver of liability would be included, that the sewer collection fee agreement would be included, and that the tax collection agreement would be included. That's not what's being proposed. And that's why I'm against this item as is drafted. I would be in support of this item if all of those components was a part of it, as was shared with me and discussed with me by the administration and others. So it's for that reason that I am not in support of the item as written. I think those things being included protect the interests of the parish. I was elected, and I have a fiduciary duty, like my colleagues, to protect the interests of this parish, not anyone else. And my actions are solely to do that. And I firmly believe if those components was in the agreement, we would be doing our fiduciary duty of protecting the interests of the parish. If we approve an item such as this that does not have that in there, I don't think we're doing our fiduciary duty. I think we're protecting the interests of something other than the parish. Thank you.
Councilman Hurst.
Hey, Mayor, Yates, you mind coming to the mic, please? Thank you. So we had the opportunity to have some healthy discussion, and the one thing I think that comes out of it for everybody is that we all want a great city parish, not just a great city. We want the parish to thrive because the people that we support don't thrive unless the entire parish is healthy. There were a couple components that I want to ask the administration publicly that you felt needed to be included in that agreement for it to make sense for you to be able to move forward? Can you state what some of those things are? It was primarily about the liability, like specifying what components that you are waiving, and you can go into more detail.
Sure. So just so everybody understands, I think the point of contention is the fact that it's impossible for me to sign a document that waives all liability of the city parish when I don't exactly know what I'm waiving. So we talk about our constituencies all the time, and that we have to go back to our constituencies. There's no way for me to sign a document waiving liability that I'm not really quite sure even what it is yet. So if I would sign that document and go back to my constituencies, they would say, well, what did you waive? And I would have to tell them I have no idea. To me, the most prudent way to do it really isn't for either side to waive any liability. Discussions that I've had with some of you all, some of the council folks, is that once this agreement gets done, bring in a third party. Bring in a third party and lay it all on the line. See where the liabilities are, see where the assets are, because that's not something we talk about a whole lot here. It's always about the liabilities, but there's assets involved here as well. So that's my suggestion. That would be my hope in the spirit of what Mr. Charlie Davis said earlier. I believe that this is the first step in many agreements that we have to have. So I don't know if I answered your question, but.
You definitely did. I'm
Okay.
going to turn that to the parish attorney. Stay there for me, just to make sure that as we move forward, Greg, can you just tell us what specific items or where we are? Can we include something specific, or does it need to stay general, and why is that?
Is what part, general as to what
In
part?
terms of liability that he's waiving from the,
Well, I would disagree with I thought we were specific about waiving liability for tax collected since 2019. I thought we were specific. They may have a different position on that.
okay, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't get in between all of that,
Yeah.
but I just ask that language, as much as it can be ironed out, do so. But thank you so much, Greg.
Okay, all right.
And one other thing that we talked about is everybody's talking about equity for St. George. I want equity for Baton Rouge, because all of my constituents live in the city parish, but live in the city of Baton Rouge. And when we start talking about agreements moving forward, again, the sheriff's department solely patrols your area. Yet the people in the city parish pay for it, but when we dial 911, they don't come to our doorsteps. BRPD does, right?
That's
But we
correct.
still have to pay for the same services that we're not getting that you are. Now, they come to my house because I live in the unincorporated areas, to be transparent, but the majority of my district does not get that. And so we want equity. We need to make sure that we understand what services are offered, what we're paying for, and then what you could be paying for that you're not, like the DA's tax, right? And this is the one conversation that I've had with the administration. Don't make the same mistakes that we made with Central and Baker and some of the other in previous councils. Maybe we have to put more pressure there because we're going to get it right the first time. We're not going to worry about Hill having to go out for his own tax because he's only been collecting fees in the city of Baton Rouge, or sewer impact fees, or whatever it may be. So I just want you guys to be amenable to do it right the first time, to make sure that we pay our share, but that St. George does the same thing as well. So we kind of had that discussion. I'll give you an opportunity to respond and give feedback. Hold on one second. To give feedback on that.
Sure. Yeah. You and I discussed this in great depth. I think the whole system has to be looked at. Because when you talk about equity, you have a parish once again with 5 municipalities. So once again, I think that the best thing to do moving forward is really bring in a third party to put some eyeballs on it, maybe a fresh set of eyes that can look at it, and maybe there's a solution there for a more equitable distribution of funds. I can't answer that. I understand how the consolidated government works. When you talk about the constitutional offices, everybody in the parish pays those.
Councilman, you want extra time?
He can finish his statement, I know.
So, and we pay for the sheriff currently, and I understand your position. I completely understand it. I've had some preliminary discussions with the sheriff and the sheriff's staff as well in regard to this. Once again, I think over the next 12 to 18 months, there's going to be lots of discussions like this, and lots of agreements are going to have to be made. But we will never get there. We can never get there as a parish if we don't start somewhere. And that's why I'll go back to my initial statement that I made, that to me, this is about building the relationship, to have those hard conversations, and to look at the parish as a whole, where things are distributed as a whole, because it's not just St. George, all right? It's not just St. George, it's not just Baker, it's not just Central, it's not just Zachary, it's not just Baton Rouge. It's a parish, right? And if we're going to really look at it as a parish, we have to really look at it as a parish.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Yes. Mayor Yates, I just have a bottom line question for you. You say you want to be equitable, you want to be fair. I tell folk fair comes once a year. You want to be a grown-up. You want to build relationship. I have one question. If this doesn't pass tonight, yes or no? Can I get you on record saying that you will not sue us?
If this does not pass tonight, is that what you're asking me?
That's what I said.
You know, I don't know if I can accurately answer that question because it would be hard for me to do it without all the information in front of me. But I can tell you this. I've had folks in my area, my constituents, that have wanted me to file suit for 8 or 9 months now.
Yeah, but you've read what's on the agenda. So I just have a bottom line. See, I'm getting into evening years, so I don't have time to waste no time. I need a yes or no.
I try to avoid litigation at all
So-
costs, Councilwoman.
Oh,
I've tried to avoid litigation at all costs from the very beginning.
so that's your
I have a track record of it.
Okay.
It's there.
Okay.
I think litigation, I've already gone through the litigation process. Took us 5 years to get through it.
That's right.
I don't want to waste any more taxpayer dollars. I don't want to waste any more taxpayers' time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll state a few things. I think we all wish there was a comprehensive agreement to cover all aspects of what this situation is going to encompass, to make sure that St. George has everything it needs to operate properly, to make sure there's no disruption of services for the citizens of St. George. And ultimately, I think that's what we're working towards. But without question, we know as we have these discussions, oftentimes when you dive into any portion of this, more questions arise. Just like Mayor Yates mentioned earlier, you know, we hear often talk about liability, but there's an asset side to it as well. And so really unpacking, when you try to go back, the further you go back and try to unpack how dollars were spent where, it's really going to take, it's almost forensic accounting at that point. And I don't think anybody disagrees that it's worthy of ironing out and figuring out what's owed where and what services were had. And, you know, obviously, if you're talking about going back many years of tax dollars, then there's a bill that comes along with it, how much of it washes. I think we all agree there's something there and there's give and take, but really unpacking that is quite robust and quite difficult, and is going to take some time, and probably, I agree, will take a third party to come in and do that, and maybe even the court system. And I think there's something to be said for that, and that's possibly a good route to handle the things that can't be ironed out. However, what we're talking about here are a couple of items that are agreed upon and should be, which is going to prevent a disruption of services to citizens of this parish and of St. George, to make sure that they have a continuation of services, but also that the tax dollars that need to go to St. George are going to go to St. George, and so we can start moving forward and they can start operating the way they need to, because at the end of the day, I agree. I have a fiduciary responsibility to city parish, but and we vote on things every day on items that don't affect my district necessarily, but affect the entirety of the parish. And the reality is, citizens of St. George are part of that parish. just like the other municipalities within the parish. So I think this is a good first step, and I think this is, I'm excited that we're moving forward in a positive direction. And I do agree and acknowledge, and I've had conversations with the administration as well as Mayor Yates, and I think everybody's trying to row in the same direction and do things proper and represent their constituencies in the best way possible. And I think going together to a third party to figure out the things that are just a little bit more challenging, and even maybe going to the court system to figure out things that are beyond mediation are appropriate. And I don't think anybody's dismissing that or saying that that's not a possibility or shouldn't be. And I think both sides acknowledge that maybe that's the route we need to take, and that's okay to do that. But to stop everything and not agree upon the items that can be agreed upon, I think the only purpose in that is showing bad faith, because one is hoping to leverage something that they should not try to leverage to gain something else. So I think it's appropriate to move forward with the items we can all agree upon, help our fellow citizens in the parish that are part of another municipality to move forward and continue to operate and provide services where appropriate in agreed upon terms like this, and let the other stuff be dealt with. You know, if we agree upon 10 other things, we can come back with an agreement for those. If we don't, then we handle it through third-party mediation or the court system, and I think that's appropriate. Thank you. Councilwoman Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Charlie, will you come to the mic, please? So you were in the meeting when we were there, correct? Mm-hmm. And you were there on behalf of the administration, mm-hmm. correct? So during our meeting, it was discussed that there was 3 documents that was going to be presented to us, correct?
You're talking about the main document, the collection document, the sewage document?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And you were there when that was stated, right?
I was in 4 or 5 meetings. I don't recall that, but probably.
Charlie,
yeah.
You were
yeah,
there.
Probably. Yeah.
You were there. Okay. So if those 3 documents that were discussed and agreed upon and said that it would be brought to council mm-hmm. and placed on the agenda as items, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So the 3.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So looking at this agenda,
Mm-hmm.
where's the 3rd item?
The 3rd item hasn't been finalized yet. We sent it back to St. George this afternoon on the sewage.
This when?
I'm
this
sorry?
Afternoon?
Today. When we finished editing it on our side and sent it back to St. George, I believe, this afternoon. So the first 2 items were done. In fact, they were all introduced separately. The first item was introduced in time for the normal agenda. I think the second item came either as administrative or an emergency item for announcement introduction last meeting, and the sewage item did not make the cut. It wasn't ready in time. But I want to emphasize what I said at the beginning.
Charlie.
This is not the only 3 documents. There's going to be many more coming after this one.
But right now, we're talking about these 3 documents,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So it's been how many weeks now since we met in the meeting? And then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
the sewer document appears today, right?
So the same document has been batted around for months or maybe for months. It just hasn't been finalized yet. There isn't a final agreement between St. George and the city parish on the sewage document yet.
Charlie, what we agreed upon in that meeting,
Mm-hmm.
you know it as well as I do, and everyone who was in attendance, that's not what's being reflected in this agenda.
I apologize for the confusion. The sewage document has not been finalized yet.
Okay, thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Councilman Kenny.
Charlie, you can come back up, or Angie. My question is, how tight is the timeline? In a case scenario, let's say this does not pass, in a case scenario, it gets deferred, what does that put the city parish from a city parish standpoint as far as timeline?
Angie can probably do a better job of answering this than myself, but I think we're already way beyond the date that we should have had an agreement signed. I mean, our goal is to begin transferring services as of July 1, and so we're almost 60 days away from July 1st. So we really need to get this done tonight.
Okay. All right.
As we mentioned in those meetings that we had with council members, if this agreement does not move forward, the group will regroup and come up with another plan how to proceed. But, you know, in my perspective, for financial planning purposes, having an agreement that outlines the financial responsibilities, the operational aspects, is in the best interest for everybody.
Councilman Hudson.
Angie, Charlie, come back if y'all don't mind, sorry. Dustin, Mayor Yates, if you would come as well. So I'll start with, y'all stand by, but I'm going to start with Mayor Yates. Since it's been mentioned about the sewer agreement, I'm hoping you can update us on this. I think particularly the concern about the sewer agreement was that it was told to us that St. George initially wasn't collecting the sewer fee. I think that's been remedied now, but I want to hear from your perspective. Or maybe Mr. Byrd could answer better than you, but you guys are now collecting sewer fees in your development process, right?
Sure, and Sherry, our city attorney, can, if you have any particular questions to ask on a legal basis, she would be the one to ask for that. But there's no dispute. We know we have to collect, and we know we have to remit it back to the city parish. As all things go with attorneys, no offense to attorneys in the room, they go back and forth, and sometimes there's a cross T that needs to happen and a dotted I, and sometimes that takes time. Unfortunately, some of those things are outside of our control, but there's no dispute here. The fees are being collected; they're going to be remitted. I don't know if that answers everything.
As the council is the authority for Bosco, I think that would be our major concern, is that the money wouldn't be there. I'm glad to hear that
the money
we
is
are, in fact,
absolutely there,
collecting the money, and it will be able to be remitted. So that's the major thing. The parish attorney's office would come up real quick as well. That's it, Mayor Yates. Thank you. It was mentioned that this could all be done in one item. I was just curious, is it possible to do all of these as a bulk package, or is it, why did we decide to set it up as multiple items?
Oh, you'd have to ask the administration that. I didn't put
Okay.
this on the agenda.
So it could have been one item, but they broke them up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Smart man, Charlie.
Thank you.
Wrong.
All three of the documents weren't ready in time. This document barely made the agenda. Adam is here who can speak more on the details of the sewage if y'all want to get into that issue. But the first document made the normal cutoff. Then we got the second one in. The third one just wasn't ready. In fact, it's not yet ready tonight, but I think it will be in the next week or so.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm good, Adam. Angie, this last one is for you. I know you've expressed some concerns to us about the items, and then I guess maybe I'm saying this the wrong way, but our ability to continue to collect the tax. At some point, we lack the authority to continue to collect this tax, and then we're kind of in a pinch as well. So explain that to me and where we are in that process.
So there's a state statute that says that there's, in each parish, there's a single sales tax collector, and the finance department has been designated as a single sales tax collector for the entire parish for all taxing jurisdictions. So the voters in the St. George area did vote to assess a tax beginning April 1st, which is being collected and remitted to businesses. It will be remitted to City Parish in May, and then in June, City Parish would distribute those contributions to the taxing jurisdiction, which is why the collection agreement is important to have that in place that allows us to distribute those funds and then also retain a collection fee, which is currently at 0.80%, and that fee is based on actual charges that we incur to collect the cost, and that is recalculated every year. If the taxing jurisdictions pay more than what we assumed the collection cost would be, we issue them a credit. If they pay less than what the collection cost would be, they would then remit a payment through their taxes.
Gotcha. And so I'm going to go back to our discussion at the end of last year around the budget. Our budget for our 2025 budget is essentially based off the assumption that we pass this at some point, and that if this doesn't pass, and so my question is, if this doesn't pass, we lose the ability to collect the tax at some point. What happens? How do we adjust as city parish for that?
So we don't lose the ability to collect. I think you would lose the ability to retain it without an agreement, without both parties agreeing that services are being provided and you're receiving a compensation for that.
So at some point, what do we do financially if we can't retain the money?
Like I mentioned to Councilman Kenny, I think the group would have to get together and decide and present a new proposal with both
Councilwoman,
parties
want to take
agreeing.
your time?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca.
So this has been a very difficult issue for several folks that sit on this council. We've had to balance the consolidated government portion of our tenure here, where we serve our constituents in our individual districts, but we also serve the parish as a whole. For some of us, that has been more challenging than others, but sticking to the law and the facts, I think, have guided us properly in the direction that we need to go. I had the ability and I guess good fortune to be able to sit through some of the St. George trial in the 19th JDC. And in that trial, we had experts on both sides that testified to what today would look like once it came to us and what the incorporation would look like. In that testimony, there were numbers, these numbers that folks are referencing hypothetically here today, that were actually given and written in a judgment. Now, sure, this was in May of 2022, so those numbers have shifted and they're not actual numbers, but only shifted so slightly. So I'm going to read these numbers to you and impart some of the wisdom that this judge, who was an ad hoc judge from a whole different parish that came in, a pro tem judge, Cody, Martin Cody, they came in and said, expert, Dr. Will Heath, stated on cross-examination that incorporators would take 2% sales tax revenue totaling what we now know approximately $48 million from the city parish budget. And what we know now may have an adverse effect on the city of Baton Rouge for several years to come. He also stated, the judge stated, the general funds within the budget total approximately now, $320 million, which can be broken down into three categories: mandated expenditures difficult to reduce, and discretionary, which can be reduced. The mandated expenditures are set by law and are not subject to reduction. These constitutional offices include the District Attorney's Office, East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, the courts, and the coroner. These legally mandated items total approximately now $45 million. The difficult to reduce items include public safety and the fire department. These difficult to reduce items total $169 million. Taking the total amount of $320 million and subtracting $45 million and $169 million leaves $106 million that can be reduced. If St. George were to incorporate, now we know they are incorporating, the general fund would further be reduced by $48 million, leaving the city of Baton Rouge with a 45% cut in its budget. This reduction would include public services such as roads, traffic control, the riverfront, the river center, the state capitol, and overall quality of life in Baton Rouge. Incorporators proposed contributing $6.6 million annually towards the constitutional offices. This results in a reduction of approximately 35% from the general fund. So when we're talking about numbers tonight, hypothetically, and where they come from and what constitutional offices there are, we have an equation that's written out based upon testimony from both sides. So it's here. These numbers aren't imaginary. They're not pulled from the sky. These people were sworn under oath to testify in court.
The next piece that's very important to note is evidence shows that an unfunded pension liability or unfunded accrued liabilities hereinafter referred to UAL amounts to $650 million for CPERS, which is the City Parish Employees Retirement System, other post-employment benefits known as OPEB, Office of Public Employee Benefits, amount to $1.2 billion in unfunded liabilities. The evidence shows that if St. George were to incorporate, the city would pay around $9 to $10 million per year for 30 years towards these unfunded liabilities. The estimated cost of $42 million and the $9 million in UALs amount to $51 million. The estimated revenue for the city of St. George at that time, those numbers have changed, is $48 million from the 2% sales tax. Based on the evidence, there would potentially be a deficit because this excludes the cost of the sheriff. St. George has to run a balanced budget, okay? City of Baton
Councilwoman, you
Rouge,
want your extra time?
sure. City of Baton Rouge has to run a balanced budget. We're past that. We're looking at those numbers are there, they may have changed, they may have shifted, but we're past that. This judge also went on to say, which I think is very important at this juncture, while we all sit here today and we weigh what is important as a parish as a whole, the good of the many versus the good of the few. How do we move forward? What is important is this judge that had the insight to put all of these things in paper, to put all of these things in a written reason for judgment for all of us to have memorialized and see here today is evidence shows that the seamless transition of services from East Baton Rouge Parish to the City of Central was due in part to the cooperation of East Baton Rouge Parish. With the same type of cooperation from East Baton Rouge Parish, the transition of service from the parish to St. George should also be seamless. We have an opportunity today to make it seamless and to move forward. Sure, the numbers are going to be off a little bit. Sure, they're going to change, and a lot has changed since May of 2022. But now it's time for us to look what's good as a parish as a whole. How do we move forward? How are we good neighbors, and how do we do the right thing moving forward? Is that more litigation in court? Perhaps, but we can't solve that today. What we can solve today is what we know with the numbers that have been provided, the agreement that's before us, and if we have to, litigate the rest. Thank you.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Greg, Brett, and Angie, please. Can you hold my time, please, sir? We hadn't even started talking yet. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Brett, you can come front.
Brett, can you let the public know who you are and how long you've been focusing on this?
Yeah, my name is Brett Furr. I'm a partner with the firm of Taylor Porter. I had represented Councilman Cole and Mayor Broom in the St. George litigation. And when the Supreme Court reversed, I was asked to get involved in negotiating the transition, given the background knowledge and information that I had.
Thank you, sir. Let me first corroborate Councilwoman Harris's point that all of those things was presented to us to be on the agenda at the same time in one item. It was definitely there in the meeting that I was at. I wasn't at the same meeting with her, but the same information was presented. Charlie seemed to be a little confused or clouded or misremembered or what have you, but that was presented, that all of this would be presented at the same time. Greg, could you step forward, please, and interrupt me if I say anything wrong? You did confirm to Councilman Hudson that all items, in your opinion, could be submitted at the same time. It could be in one item.
Yeah, they could have been one.
All right, but it wasn't your job to submit it. It was submitted by the administration. You had no control of that, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, Angie, if you will, please. Angie, you spoke very eloquently about the need for certain agreements in place, the ramifications that it would cause city parish if they were not in place. Do you feel like those agreements need to be in place as it relates to collection and fees?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Brett, can you kind of speak to some of the unresolved issues around money that's out there, not so much in detail, but just the fact that there are unresolved issues? I think those unresolved issues speak to Angie's concern. If you have unresolved issues as it relates to money, and then you don't have agreements in place as it relates to other monies, that could tie those monies up.
Yes, Councilman Dunn. What this agreement does is it takes care of the money situation from April of 2024 through June 30th of this year, and after that, when the tax becomes effective. What it does not resolve, however, are claims that have been made that the city parish would owe St. George monies going back to 2019. Frankly, I think those claims are totally ridiculous. I mean, there's no basis at all to even make those claims, but the claims have been made, and they've been made repeatedly. And that revolves around the fact that there's no, the Supreme Court, in its wisdom or lack thereof, did not set an incorporation date as required by the statute, so it's left both the city parish and St. George with an uncertain outcome with regard to the effective date. And so they have made claims, they being St. George, that the city parish owes money going back to 2019. It doesn't take into consideration that the city parish, however, was the sole provider of services from 2019 and is still essentially the sole provider of services in the area of St. George, and so there's a cost associated with that. What has been articulated is that they want to have a negotiation about the, as Councilman Rocca mentioned, the unfunded accrued liability around the taxes that they claim that were due. Like I say, I think the claims are ridiculous, but they're claims nonetheless. I thought the Supreme Court's ruling was questionable, let's say, but that's where we are today.
Thank you, because I'm running out of time and I want to get this in. So in your opinion, and being involved with this, you think it's vital to have the release of liability because of that issue? You think it's vital to have the sewer agreement in place and the collection agreement, is that correct?
I think you need to have the sewer agreement in place. I think you have to have a collection agreement in place. In fact, all the statutes and everything talk about that. So I think that's the next item on the agenda, though. It's two different items that are here tonight.
Thank you. Greg, do you think it's vital, as being a part of this process, to have the release of liability, the sewer collection agreement, and the tax collection agreement in place?
I would have preferred having the sewer impact agreement, and I want y'all to have the collection agreement too. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And it's for those reasons why I would like to see them all together, all in one item. I talked about earlier of the notice responsibility, public meeting requirements. We cannot do all of that on this meeting. So I'd like to introduce a substitute motion to defer this item and give us an opportunity to introduce a new item that includes the release of liability, the sewer collection agreement, and the tax collection agreement.
Defer to what date, Councilman?
The next meeting.
Do we have a second for that? Second by Councilman Hurst. Councilman Moak.
Thank you. Angie, can you come up? Basically, what we're dealing with this item is the financial part of this, as far as taxes being collected and taxes being paid back out to the municipality.
And services being rendered.
And certain services being rendered, correct. Mm-hmm. The litigation of the incorporation date, the how much, who owes what, all that is separate and outside of what we need to do with these taxes that we are now, because of the vote of the people, of having to collect and redistribute.
It's not addressed in this agreement.
Correct. It's not addressed, but by passing this agreement, how does this affect that negotiation part?
That's a legal question.
Can one of y'all answer that? Sherry? Or is Sherry, if you'd like to come up? Parish Attorney or Mr. Brett? The question is, not passing this, how does this affect the intake and the out part of
I'm not going to answer the
taxes?
negotiation part, but we can still resolve those issues if you pass this item tonight.
Correct.
Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking is, if we pass this tonight, we still are going to be at the negotiating table, whether it's a mediator, court ordered thing or whatever, we still have to get to the point of a incorporation date. Whether we defer this or not, I don't see how deferring this till the next council meeting, because I do think it's been in the courts and all for all these years. We're not going to, in 2 weeks, all of a sudden pick an incorporation date. I think by the time we get a mediator and everything else, we're not going to be able to get that incorporation date that I understand that you're looking for. I agree wholeheartedly. I would love to see, or I wish the Supreme Court would have picked an incorporation date. But they didn't. So I have to concur with some of my colleagues that we need to move forward with this one so the rest of the process can move forward. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, we have two motions. We have the original motion, which is to approve by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. We have a substitute motion to defer to the next meeting, which would be first meeting in May, by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Hurst. We're going to vote on the machines. Does everybody have their machines working, voting? We're going to vote on the substitute motion first. Carolyn, yours didn't work? Mine either.
Y'all can give me your vote if you want.
We're going to vote on the substitute motion first. The substitute motion is to defer until the first meeting in May. And that's when we're going to vote on the machines.
Council members, the machines are open on the substitute motion to defer to May 14th. Motion fails.
Now we're going to vote on the original motion, which is to approve.
Machines are now open on the motion to approve. Motion carries.
Item 91, authorizing the mayor president to enter into collection agreement on behalf of the city of Baton Rouge, parish of East Baton Rouge, with the city of St. George regarding the collection and distribution of sales and use taxes by the finance director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilman Moak. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to take items 92 through 111 together. Yes, Councilman.
Just a moment of personal privilege. We have a practice in this body of recognizing elected officials when they're in the audience. We've had legislators come and visit us. We have elected officials from the city of St. George here. In addition to Mayor Dustin Yates, City Council Member Richie Edmonds is here. City Council Member Steve Monticello is here. City Council Member, I think I saw Max Email, is here. City Council Member Ms. Patty Cook is here. And Police Chief Todd Morris is also here. Did I miss anyone? There's only one more of you, so thank y'all for being here. We appreciate it.
Welcome, y'all. Thank you.
And as a personal privilege, I'd like to acknowledge our folk over there in this city of Baton Rouge, so let us not forget. So give it up for our people over there in that corner, and Angie, the whole group.
And I'll just state one other thing. I'll adjourn any meeting where it's this hot ever again. If we don't get these air conditions fixed. I'm melting. All right. Item 92 through 111 are going to take together. 92, lot 6A square 254, subdivision Swart, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Heidi M. Jones, $100. 93, lot 19, square 38, subdivision South Baton Rouge, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Connor Properties and Investments, $2,700. 94, lot 42, subdivision Airline Terrace, Metro Council District 2, Kenny, high bidder, Whitmore Enterprises LLC, $1,700. Item 95, lot 38, square 2, subdivision Progress Park Addition, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Gertosha Mater, $5,300. 96, lot 171, subdivision Colonial Hill, Metro Council District 7, Harris. High bidder Pharaoh Johnson III, $86,100. Item 97, lot T-1-A-3, subdivision South Park Forest, Metro Council District 5, Hearst. High bidder Daniel Washington, $7,000. Item 98, lot 45, subdivision Airline Terrace, Metro Council District 2, Kenny. High bidder Whitmore Enterprises LLC, $2,200. Item 99, lot 46, subdivision Airline Terrace, Metro Council District 2, Kenny. High bidder Whitmore Enterprises LLC, $3,200. Item 100, lot 26, subdivision Airline Terrace, Metro Council District 2, Kenny, high bidder, Telford Williams, $2,600. Item 101, Lot 17 and 18, Square 3, Subdivision, Scotlandville, Metro Council District 2, Kenny, high bidder, Whitmore and Whitmore Enterprises, LLC, $4,000. 102, Lot 1 plus Square 52, Subdivision, Fortune, Metro Council District 5, Hearst, high bidder, Latasha Long, $100. Item 103, Lot 7A, Square 2, Subdivision, Banks, Metro Council District 2, Kenny, high bidder, The Warner Group, LLC, $8,000. Item 104, Lot J, Square 92, Subdivision, Estruma, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Kedrick Barrow, $200. 105, Lot 82, Subdivision, Wooddale Park, Metro Council District 6, Dunn Jr., high bidder, Whitmore Enterprises, $10,500. Item 106, Lot 33, Subdivision, Sunnybrook, Metro Council District 10, 5, Metro Council District 5, Hearst, high bidder, Kalen Rowe, $3,800. 107, Lot AC2B, Subdivision, Anthony Catrona Tract, Metro Council District 7, Harris, high bidder, Devin Stewart, $3,600. Item 108, Lot 46, Square 2, Subdivision, Babin, Metro Council District 7, Harris, high bidder, Worldwide Investment 78, LLC, $500. Item 109, Lot 6, Subdivision, Swart Edition, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Beecham Investments, LLC, $2,700. Item 110, Lot 7B, Square 257, Subdivision, Swart, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Connor Properties and Investments, $2,500. Item 111, Subdivision 7, Lot 7, Subdivision, Swart Edition, Metro Council District 10, Coleman, high bidder, Beecham Investments, LLC, $3,000. Anyone here wishing to speak on items 92 through 111? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilman Hudson. Any opposed?
I'd like to say all except 104.
104. Is that you'll withdraw your second? Is that your motion, Councilwoman Adams? All except 104? That's a second by Councilwoman Coleman. All except 104?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're going to go to our separate sheet for administrative matters. I'm going to take them all together. These are all for introduction. A, Mac Willis Jr., 2735 Washington Avenue, Council District 7, Harris. B, Matthew Barr Jr., 221 Jefferson Street, Council District 10, Coleman. C, CFB 1956 LLC, 4736 Loyola Drive, Council District 12, Rocca. D, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded on September 6, 2024 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Janetta Yvette Richardson, Carlton V. Howard, Teresa A. Howard, Reginald R. Howard, and Casey G. Howard, and the decision and order recorded on February 3rd, 2025 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Janetta Yvette Richardson, 2528 Sherwood Street. Reason for rescission, property has been approved to close with the Louisiana Housing Corporation as part of the Louisiana Rental Restoration and Development Program by Councilwoman Coleman. E, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel a notice to attend recorded on October 13th, 2023, and decision and order recorded on October 30th, 2023 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Angel D. Bonilla Velasquez, 5465 Linden Street. Reason for rescission, owner has paid for a permit by Councilwoman Harris. F, rescinding and directing clerk of court to cancel the decision and order recorded on July 29th, 2022 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Harriet Sinsley, 1674 North 44th Street. Reason for rescission, property is being sold and new owner plans to make repairs by Councilwoman Harris. G, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel a notice to attend recorded on May 16, 2024, and the decision and order recorded on August 19, 2024 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Abdallah Shahidi and Ahmad Shahidi, 1435 South Street. Reason for rescission, Ms. Richardson is preparing for the closing process with the Louisiana Housing Corporation as part of the LA Rental Restoration and Development Program by Councilwoman Coleman. H, authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a contract with OOK janitorial and for janitorial services at the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport in an amount not to exceed $492,000 by the aviation director. I, authorization Authorizing the mayor president to execute an agreement between the city of Baton Rouge, parish of East Baton Rouge on behalf of the Office of Community Development and Research Foundation of the City University of New York for an amount not to exceed $396,000 by the Community Development Director. We need a motion to waive the rules. Do we have a motion to waive the rules? Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilman Hudson. We need a public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. Anyone here wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules? Seeing none, is there anyone opposed to motion to waive the rules? Now we need a motion to introduce the items. We have a motion to introduce the item, motion by Councilman Hudson. Do we have a second? Second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? Items have been introduced. Appointments, Library Board of Control, consideration of replacing or reappointing Candace Temple, whose term expires on May 16, 2025, effective May 17, 2025. This is a 4-year term. 9 votes are required. Current ballot is Candace Temple requesting reappointment. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Motion to approve.
Seeing none, we'll go to council.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Kenny. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have enough people up here, huh? Okay. Well, I saw some. Okay, I'm just checking because it required 9. Congratulations, Ms. Temple. All right, change orders.
Hey, I want to take a personal point of privilege, Candace, before you leave, to just thank you for the hard work that you did with the negotiations with the city, how you stood strong, protected the library, but also understood the need for the city parish. Thank you for all your hard work. I look forward to serving with you.
Thank you, Candace.
I'll echo those sentiments because I was one of the ones negotiating against her, and man.
Y'all were all great.
Good job.
Item 113, Evangeline Street Scenic Highway Area ADA Transition Project, contractor the Luster Group, change order amount of credit of $18,726.78. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Goday, second by the chair. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 114, Evangeline Street Scenic Highway Area ADA Transition Project. This is the final acceptance. Contractor the Luster Group. Final cost $244,826.22. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Acceptance of low bids. 115, Office of Community Development Renovation, J-Star Enterprises, low bid $98,837. 116, Plank Road Corridor Enhancement, Segment 2, Dawson Drive to Harding Boulevard, low bid Command Construction Industries LLC, $2,257,313.50. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion to approve 115 and 116. Motion by Councilman Moak, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 117, receiving report from the DHDS Director on the Ride to Work project as requested by the Metropolitan Council on September 11, 2024 by the Human Services Director. We're going to hear the report. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to make a motion that we defer this report until May 14th.
Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilman Hurst to defer until the May 14th meeting. Any opposed? Motion carries. I said the right date, right? May 14th? Okay. Item 118, receiving a presentation from the Mayor's Office of Community Development on April 2023 regarding the Citizen Participation Plan impacting the 2025 through 2029 Consolidated Plan by the Community Development Director.
Hi, good afternoon.
We're going to hear the report and then we'll have a public hearing. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
So we do have the presentation, and for record, my name is Lacey Sherman. I am the program manager over some of the special projects. So I'll be stepping in for our director. But I wanted to be able to just share some really great highlights that we have coming up in regards to our consolidated plan, which is ultimately our 5-year strategy. And does everyone have? Are you all able to see the PowerPoint or kind of reference to it? Okay, perfect. Our 5-year strategy for the Office of Community Development, which is very vital for us. We can go over to the next slide. And what it actually helps us to be is one, in compliance with HUD, our housing urban development, where we receive allocated funds each year. And then you'll see just in the left-hand corner the allocations that have been awarded to our office since 2021. And so we're at a stage where allocations are still with Congress and they're still doing some negotiations there, but ultimately it helps to fund the 4 programs that are in our office, which is Community Development Block Grant, and that gives us a little bit of flexibility to do some great programming in our community to support the low moderate income and we'll get into that. The population there, support housing, rehab, and also blight. And it really fluctuates, but ultimately helps to support that specific community. And then also home investment partnerships is another program to help with funding affordable housing, construction, rental assistance, and home buyer support. And then we also have our emergency solution grant, which ultimately supports our homelessness population. And also our HOPWA, which supports the housing opportunities for persons with AIDS, providing housing and also supportive services in the low-income bracket. And so we'll get into the next slide, where we are ultimately working with, we have here with us Bayou Environmental to consult with us in rolling out our strategic plan over a course of a couple of months, but most importantly, in May, we will be engaging with the community, and this is very vital for the plan because we're getting their feedback. So you may have also seen the flyer of our upcoming events, which is going to happen May 13th and also May 15th, for us to be able to host workshops to gain feedback from our community, and then also partners, the opportunity for us to partner with our constituents. We are more than welcoming of all of the events that are happening in you all's districts so that we can share the survey, because that survey really helps to shift the strategic plan on how we set up future programming in our action plan that highlights the year of what we set forth for projects to fund for the year. And so we talk about eligibility. We have just a highlight of what that income bracket looks like, from extremely low income to very low, and then you also have your low income bracket. And so it's also identified by HUD with the persons in the household. So I just have an example here for what that can look like. For example, a family of 4, the 2024 median household income for Baton Rouge area is about $87,000. For one person, that is about 18 to maybe around 30,000, 40,000. And what you will see is also an interactive map on the right-hand side, where we have for our community to be able to look up their area of interest, whether that's their address or whether that's also their business, or a place of where they would like to, support with some of the projects. If you type in your address there on our website, which you'll see in the next slide, you'll be able to see what category your area of interest falls under, and also affiliated with other measures, whether that's the low income area and or an area of lack of necessities. And so this slide here is what we have passed out in the hallway, and also very important, like I mentioned, for our upcoming workshops. And then also on the next slide, we have the QR code, which we have encouraged and will continue to encourage all the way through until May 16th, when we assess the surveys to see the feedback from the community. It's very short, but very vital to this, ultimately to this strategic plan. And then at the end of May, we will be able to review those with our consultants here. And then we will have by August our consolidated plans for open comment period, and also consult with our constituents and also with our district council, as well as hosting stakeholder interviews to make sure that every voice is heard as we roll out our 2025-2029 consolidated plan. I'll pause there. Oh, and another highlight is that this week is National Community Development Week. And so I just wanted to just bring that to light as we highlight the great work that is also being done nationally. And we also have a one-pager for Louisiana specifically, where we have shared with you all via email, but also with our community about the needs assessment, but ultimately where the dollars are being spent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Seeing no one, go to council. Councilman Moak.
Yeah, could you come back up real quick? Could you put the slides back up? Like 3 or 4 in, well, I don't see it on the big screen, hold on. There. These programs that are on here, does your department directly manage those, or do y'all contract those services out?
So we have program managers over each one of those programs, and then we also, for services, some are mostly directed by way of a NOFA. So we have a Notice of Funding Opportunities, or RFP, to where we can partner with community partners, churches, or even consultants to help distribute the service directly.
To the HOPWA, y'all
Yes, so
work
we-
with other organizations to find those housings, or?
Yes, we have a program manager that oversees it, and then we are sourced out, and we have Ms. You want to kind of speak a little bit more to that?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rovan. I'm the Chief Program Analyst for the department. What we do is we work with subrecipients. So for HOPWA, which you asked about directly, that's the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS.
Right.
You get those contracts every year through council to approve. We work with, and it's all selected via, through a NOFA. So the amount of money that we get will be NOFA'd out, Notice of Funding Availability, and then we work with persons like HIV/AIDS for Region 2. That's HART, Stark Corporation. These are people we've worked with in the past.
Okay. Is there a particular, as far as funding for the housing and stuff like that, is that based on application, or is that based on just how much you particularly get in the total package? And then you divide it out among these categories?
Whenever they put in an application, so speaking just of HOPWA, if they put in an application, they're going to tell us what their program entails. They're going to ask for a specific amount of money, and if we can afford to provide that to them, then we will.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Item 119, reporting to the Metropolitan Council results of the 2024 Mayor's Youth Workforce Experience with Employ BR and Big Buddy by the Workforce Investment Director. We're going to hear the report, and then we'll have a public hearing.
I'm Amanda Stanley. I'm the Chief Administrator for WIOA over Employ BR. And then we have Gay Mack, the proud Executive Director of Big Buddy, with me as well. And we're here to give you the report on our summer program from last summer. We do an 8-week program every year with the Mayor's Youth Workforce Experience. That covers mentorship. It's basically preparing our scholars for real world experience. And we just wanted to give you some ideas about the success we had last summer. We had 542 scholars that went through, and of those, we had 488 complete. So that's a 90% completion rate. And when you think about that completion rate, we also took in a higher number of at-risk youth. So to have a completion rate that high, we're very proud of that. With that, they did classes, they had industry-based credentials. We gave out over 250 industry-based credentials, and 71% of our scholars achieved work-ready status. And what that means, and you'll see it on your flyer, but that means they attended for 80% of the time, they earned at least 2 credentials, and they completed 3 success projects. So we were really proud of what we did last summer, and we wanted to share that with you. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're going to have a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the item? Seeing no one, go to council. Thank y'all so much.
Hey, I do want to take a personal point of privilege to acknowledge Ms. Galen Mack, all the hard work that she does, and that Dancing with Big Buddy is this Saturday beginning at 6 p.m. You want to come to the mic, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilman Hurst.
Yes, Dancing for Big Buddy is this Saturday. Doors open at 6. We'll be at the LSU PMAC. And Councilman Hurst will be dancing. And so he promises to bring all the glory. He promises to win. Yes, Councilman Hurst? Absolutely. All right, and so please come out and see him. It supports a great cause. Of course, the work that we do in the community is supported through this event. So thank you, Councilman Hurst.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I have a question regarding, so if you two ladies will come back, I want to talk about the children. I don't care about it. I want to know what we have. Talk to me. You talked about what was. Talk to me about what is when we're talking about this population that we will be serving.
Yeah, just tell me a little bit more about exactly. I want to make sure I get it right. Like the type of scholars we have come through.
No, I'm not on that.
Okay.
I want to know this summer 2025, June 2025, these youth that we will have in employee BR, how will it look? What will they be doing? Where is it? All of that. How do we get them? Anything else you can come up with?
Dr. Langford has come on board for summer 2025, and she's leading that with the mayor's office and with Baton Rouge Community College, so I'm going to turn that over to her. Thank you, Dr. Langford.
Good evening, Council. Councilwoman Coleman, to answer your question, this summer does look a bit different from last summer. I want to start by saying the Louisiana Department of Education has made vast changes to requirements for graduation, beginning with the class of 2026. The students have to have high-quality, industry-based credentials, and in order to get those, they must have 28 hours of classroom instruction and then 107 hours of a paid internship that is relevant to the coursework. So, keeping that in mind, the students are on 2 tracks this summer. Our goal is to send as many children as possible back to high school with the high-quality industry-based credentials they need and that internship time. So we have partnered with several groups because we're leveraging areas of expertise. So BRCC has come aboard, and they are going to, for free, teach the kids and test them, because those are things you have to pay the state for, and the kids can get those credentials. We have 4 credentials that the state considers high quality: arts, AV and communication, information technology, skilled trades, and health sciences. So the children will be able to pick which one of those tracks they're going to go in. In the month of June, they will take classes under the direction of BRCC professors. At the end of the coursework, they will be tested, the state tests, for the IBCs. Then in July, they will work. We have partnered with BRAC because their specialty is the business field. So currently, we have about 31 businesses that BRAC has secured to send the students out, some of those even here in the city parish. And the kids will work to get the hours needed to secure the credential. In addition to the students need, so let me back up. Because of that, we have prioritized rising seniors, so students that are in the 11th grade. As a former educator, it is very important because a lot of children don't have the high quality credential that they need right now. So that difference is what has led us to that path. However, there are some kids that have secured that. So the 2 tracks, if you don't have the necessary credential, you're going to go in, take care of that in June, and go to work in July. If you have secured the necessary credential for graduating, then you're going to go straight to work and work in June and July. And we also have other partners, of course, Big Buddy and Employ BR, but like I said, BRCC, BRAC is taking care of securing the host sites. BRIC, the Baton Rouge Youth Coalition, who provides a plethora of services to students from 7th through 12th grade and getting them on track for graduation, but also helping them with college applications, ACT prep.
Councilwoman, you want your extra time?
They're on board, so they'll be working with BRCC to embed themselves in the classroom portion. And lastly, East Baton Rouge Parish School System, they have their internship program, but working with BRAC, we have a lot of partners willing to take kids on, so they've asked if we could take on 20 of their kids as well, because we have the work site secured. So it does look different, but that's because the requirements for the children to graduate in May of 26 is more rigorous.
And different is okay, just want to make sure. What about these children that will be in classes in June? So what's the hours, and will they be paid while they are in class as those that will be working?
Yes, ma'am. All of the children who can complete the necessary requirements will be paid. So just because they're in class in June and not at the work site, they will still receive their stipends.
All right, okay. All right, you got a lot of work to do, and I thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, ladies. Moving on, item 120 is an emergency item expressing the support of the Metropolitan Council for SB Senate Bill 176 in the 2025 regular legislative session, and urging legislators from East Baton Rouge Parish to vote in favor of the bill by Councilman Dwight Hudson, Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr., and Councilman Aaron Moe. Reason for the emergency is in order to allow the item to be heard before it goes to committee. In accordance with Ordinance 16442, this item must be declared an emergency by 2/3 vote of the Metropolitan Council. Need a motion to declare the item an emergency. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak. Any opposed? No opposition. We're going to have a public hearing on the item. Anyone wishing to speak on the item?
Mr. Pro Tem, I'd like to amend the item.
Seeing none, we'll go to Councilman Dunn Jr.
Amend the item as an emergency introduction instead of an emergency item to be heard today.
I second.
Well, we just need to defer it then. It's because it's introduced and can be heard today as an
That's
emergency
fine.
item, so we can just defer it. And
That's fine. Well, Councilman Hurst asked me why we're deferring it or not hearing it today. The bill as written is not in its final form, and there are many amendments that need to be placed on the item. So I would prefer, and my co-authors would prefer, that the item is in its final draft before we take action on it.
I like it.
Kind of similar to that other item that I objected to.
I like it. What, May 14th?
Next meeting, yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak to defer to May 14th. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
I know we're fixing to go to the next item, which is adjournment, but I'd like to take a personal point of privilege, if there's any left for the evening. Actually, we had a lot of good discussion about the contract and everything with the city of St. George and everything, but I wanted to make a public a note that happy birthday to the city of Central. Today, the 23rd, 2005, we incorporated 20 years ago. So,
Hey, all right. Councilwoman Amorosa. Meeting's adjourned. Any announcements?
I would say everybody say a prayer for Mayor President Edwards for the passing of his father. So please make sure you send your prayers and condolences to his family.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you all for your continued service. Remember to serve your families, your communities, but first and foremost, serve God. God bless.